Okay, hello and welcome. This is going to be a short tutorial on how to basically create some basic effects with the Corsair's K70 low profile speed cherry keys. Blah. Can you tell I'm not using a script? Okay, so anyways, from the top, out of the box, this is how the keyboard is. It functions perfectly, except you won't have access to any of the advanced features for programming or any of the lighting effects. No matter what you do with the lighting effects, the keys are just dark. So out of the box is how it is. I mean, the keys are marked and are rather visual, but if you are like me and enjoy darker environments and where you are, it can make the keys somewhat difficult to see. So you want to create yourself some basic effects. So out of the box, this is what you get. We'll cover some of the basic effects, and then I'll show you what I've managed to do on the fly. Well, not necessarily on the fly. I've been experimenting with this and having some amount of fun with it. So here goes. So we're going to create a first lighting effect. By clicking the plus, it'll default on the spiral rainbow, as you can see here. And you can control its speed, the direction, and to start with any particular profiles or stop never, or, on key press, if you want to stop the minute. There you go, it's gone. Now the yellow outline is basically to show you that every single light on the keyboard have been selected. Now these here, these three, cannot be selected in any of the lighting effects. You have to go to performance to modify these colors, but we'll get to that in all due time. So for now, we've got the spiral effect. Here's the menu where you select which effect you want to use. They've got some predefined ones here. They're pretty decent. Well, we can run through the list. Excuse me. And directly on the screen through the IQ software, you'll get a preview, and the keyboard is actually lit up exactly as the preview is right now. Now I wish I had a separate camera to show you what the keyboard, how quickly it reacts to any of the changes you make, but alas, I do not. So you'll just have to take my word for it. So here it goes. The next one in line, the rainbow wave. Basic, commercial kind of effects that look really nice, but they don't have that personal touch. So then you got the color shift, which is basically random colors it shifts to every couple seconds or so. The color pulse, same thing, random colors. It just like blinks, but it goes straight to dark, black. So there's no colors in between. Then you got the color wave, same thing. Dark keyboard, as you can tell, the unlit keys are literally unlit, and it just, waves through different colors at random. And you got the visor effect. If you're a Battlestar Galactica kind of a fan, you can predefine the colors you want it to have, and it's just the same color followed by the secondary color. And you can change the secondary color to be the same, and now you just got a big red bar, or whatever color you choose to define. After the visor, you got the rain effect on completely black keys. So yeah, it is pretty apparent. And I'll dive into some of the more advanced configurations that you can do with this software. Out of the box, it's fairly simple to use, but it's not obvious for someone who's not accustomed to just diving into configuring stuff. And this is not necessarily comparable to any sort of programming, but you do have to kind of understand how the system works in order to really personalize any of the features you want to have on your keyboard. English is hard. Okay, the lighting effect, the type lighting effect is pretty cool. See, right now it's at random colors, so if I literally physically tap a key on the keyboard, you'll see the effect it'll do on the screen. Okay, so that's the ripple, type lighting ripple, and you got two features on this, okay, with random colors. So every time I hit a key, it'll just a different color, which, can be cool if that's your thing, and you're not epileptic or not prone to having epileptic seizures. Or you could just use the type lighting effect, which is individual key. And you can program the duration of how long it sticks around to tell you which was the last key you pressed. See, now I went to long. It'll take a long time. Well, a long time. About 5 seconds for them to feed back out. And the short duration is a lot shorter. It's like a full second. So after the type lighting, you got the void visualizer. So if I would be playing some music, you can program, different patterns, PEQ. I don't use it, so I'm not really versed into what they do. Animation and bar and upwards would basically mean it'll peak upwards like not an oscilloscope, but a spectrum kind of analyzer for sound, which is also pretty cool. Then you got watercolor, which is, kind of like looking down at a puddle and having drops of water. And the ripples are all these different colors. This is pre-programmed, so you can actually do a more, how should I say, a more advanced version of this if you play with this feature. And then after the watercolor, oh, that's the last one. Okay, so those are the predefined ones. Now, if you want to go to custom, I can show you what I've done with mine, but after that, before I get to that, I should say, the actions. See, right now there's no keys programmed, and the lighting effect really didn't stay because I didn't save it, but that's all right. Programming actions. Those are macros and predetermined features, and what do you want to reassign for your F keys. If you want to disable Alt F4 sort of deal, you can actually disable all of these advanced features like the Windows key. Very neat. Very, very, very neat. Now, I said I'd get to these. As you note, right now they're dark. Okay, so we're going to go back to the lighting effect. Just going to kill this because it actually did not stop. So, static color, nice big bright white. And these colors never change. But how you change them is you go to performance, and here they are. Now, this feature is only if you've used this key. I tend to disable it. I'm the only user on this machine. So locking the computer is I'll literally just turn it off. And that way I have to forcibly log back in when I get back home or some such. But the colors here, you can actually change them. And they kind of really stick out. So right now the lock indicator is on red. So I like the Windows color, so we'll go blue. Same thing with the lighting effect. The lighting effect key, this is the lighting intensity, not the lighting effect. Lighting intensity, as you can tell. So you got 3 different lighting intensities. Just so it's more visible on screen, I'm going to keep it on high. I tend to keep it on medium, generally speaking, not to overly tax the actual LEDs in every individual key at all times, because you can tell the brightness here is always to the max. So if I bring it down, I'd have to go back to that one, but yeah, you can tell right now this one is really dark. That's the one. So just keep an eye on that one. See, you can actually play with the lighting intensity here also. We're gonna go blue. Why not? Actually, we're gonna go light blue. I'm gonna turn that down a little bit, just like that. Then you got the profile switching key here. Profile indicator. I'm going to go back to blue. There we go. 3 neat little colors. All right. So now that the basics have been covered, I can show you exactly what kind of effects you can do. So my default profile is this one that I use, which is kind of neat. I mean, speaking for myself, I've outlined the actual feature keys that I use most often here as well, and there too. Not exactly sure why this one is brighter than the other one, but I'll get to that on my own time. And then you got, I've made myself a gaming profile. As you can tell here, I'm a bit of a Witcher fan, and I've outlined by colors which are my most used features. in that game. And in the lighting effects, as you can tell here, I had 10 lighting effects. So see, gradient for WASD and these menu keys that are in the game. So it's very visual. Static color for basic secondary attack or action keys in the game. And these are system keys, and these are just decorative. Okay, so then you got gradient. Don't knock it. Pink is nice. And this one, you got another static color for the greens. See, it gives you a idea. Oh, and that's new. Interesting. I've never even bothered noticing that little feature before. But hey, static color 3 for this set. So as you can tell, then a gradient for my outlining keys, just for decoration. It's kind of neat to see them like fade in and fade out in different intensities. And here I'm using gradients on a 2.5 second interval. That should be 3, but blah. Then this is a temp for how hot my graphic card gets during gameplay. And I've got different temperatures programmed for different colors. So the more my graphics card is being used, the more these 9 keys here, this numpad, will intensify in redness, telling me perhaps I should lower my graphical settings to give a breather to my graphics card, which is another very neat and visual feature of the program and the keyboard itself. Then I got my main color scheme, which is just a default background, even in the keys that are not lit up. Actually, no, these are not lit up, period, because they're not used in the game. Forgot this is my gaming profile. Next one. A different Windows that's basically a copy of the blue one here, except for my outline keys. I just kept everything red and or orange. And as you can see here, I'm using a very subtle rain effect on a reddish background, and the rain has a darker or a brighter red which sticks out from the background, which is actually visually very neat. Then I got a secondary game profile. As you can tell, I'm using a visor on this one for just general shooter games, because general shooter games will have their weapons by default binded to these keys. So it's just kind of visual. I don't know. Neat little effect. See, and I just accidentally tapped the type key effect, which here, as you can tell, the type lighting is set to white. So the minute I hit a key anywhere, it goes white, and it takes a long time to... I set it to a long delay because often I'm a klutz, and it's like, which key did I just hit? Look down, and I see, yeah, I was miles off the right one. So it's pretty neat. So the visor is only on this line from the 1 to equal, and those two should be pretty much the same color, but it doesn't really matter because it's just single key notch. And let's go back to the next profile, the billboard. This is something I was just experimenting on. If you think Las Vegas and the billboards with the shiny lights going around the billboard, well, that's kind of like what I created, with a nice decent blue. And this took a little bit of doing, but it just goes to show you how flexible this program is, or this keyboard is. Now, I've sidestepped the main feature of this thing. Somebody asked on Amazon if you needed the software to run this keyboard, and that is a bit of a mixed answered question, singular, but anyways. And what I mean by this is, this keyboard has onboard memory, just like the Scimitar Pro here. They have onboard memories to save 3 different profiles with 5 predefined lighting effects in them that you predefine. You can use default settings once again, and have just default lighting pre-programmed inside the keyboard. And you do this on onboard profiles. See, right now I got my Windows 1, so basically a close version of this one, because this has a lot more. See, lighting effects, I've got 7. I had to trim it down by 2. I kept my blah blah blah, but I think I got rid of the rain here and another effect, I forget what. And then I got my default game profile, and there's a third one which is basically dark, and I called it Windows 2 so that nothing else would override it. And dark means when I hit my profile key, either on my Scimitar Pro or on here, this button right there, it goes dark. So I don't have to, spam press 3 times the lighting intensity just to turn it off. See, if I do it now, it just turns it off because it was at its brightest. But there we go. And I've made the third profile by default just dark to turn everything off at night if I don't turn off the machine. So this is really cool, because once you've programmed your default profiles and save them on board the keyboard, you can essentially and effectively uninstall Corsair IQ software entirely from your machine, and it will run on the default profiles that you programmed in the keyboard. Now, as I pointed out in my reply on the Amazon question, sadly the keyboard comes out of the box without any profiles saved into it. So you have to go a little bit out of your way in order to create your first default profile. Now, I recommend you make 3. 1 your default, second, I don't know, media or gaming or whatever, or have all 3 different profiles on there. But I like to have a dark profile also. So this is the beautiful thing about this, because if you go to a friend's place or somebody or family or whatever, and you bring your keyboard and mouse, if you don't have a mouse, well, forget that, and you bring it to their house and hook it up to their computer, well, your profiles stay. And your lighting effects that you worked hard to configure are on the go with you on board. And this is why I said it initially, this is a bit of a mixed question. It's mostly, yes, the keyboard works as advertised out of the box, but no lighting effects. And once you save your own lighting effects, your personalized profiles in there, it's just fantastic. And I hope that showing you the different profiles that I've created, especially this one, can show you how amazing and flexible this thing can be. And it is literally up to your imagination where you can take the lighting effects of this keyboard. There's no limit. Literally, the sky is the limit on this. It just takes a little bit of imagination and you're good to go. A little bit of time, and I hope that this tutorial has piqued a little bit of curiosity on how to create these profiles. So you're welcome to keep watching this video and figuring out what I've done by pausing it and so forth, and copying some of the stuff and just making it your own. That would be fantastic. And if anything else, I hope this was just informative and has shed some light on the mystery of whether this keyboard is worth getting or not. Now, if I would have another computer in-house, in a heartbeat, I'd buy another one of these keyboards. They're incredibly well constructed. Another huge feature I love about this, and I know this is coming across as like I'm shilling for Corsair. I've got some differences with the company itself and the brand, but as far as their hardware is concerned, like this, like the gaming stuff, it's so worth the price. You're buying something that is built like a tank and is featureful, and not to mention, especially this particular version of the keyboard, the fact that it's low profile and you can pull off every single keycap off of the every individual key on here makes cleaning it and maintaining it a super easy thing to do. And I've had this keyboard now for what, maybe 10 months, 9 months, somewhere around there. and it still looks brand new. I've only had to take it apart once because after a while you get, dust and blah 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 and a whole bunch of stuff under the keys. But the way that it's built, nothing gets inside it. It just takes, half hour of your time and, a soft rag and a Q-tip to clean between the keys once you've removed everything. The paint used on the individual keycap is incredible quality. I have never had a keyboard before that hasn't started erasing WASD keys, R, F, and C, and a couple other keys within, a month. I do some amount of coding for either web pages or scripting and whatnot, so I type an insane amount, and these usually, even I've had a moderately high end Logitech keyboard, and within 6 months, half of my keys were erased. Not on this bugger. And this was, I believe, one of the biggest surprises, because at first when I bought it, I thought, oh, great, you can actually remove the keys and order some more if they wear out. So far, not a hint of wear from excessive typing or whatnot. And I absolutely adore this keyboard. So like I said, if I'd have a different machine, a different computer in-house, in a heartbeat, I would absolutely buy another one of these. They're just amazing. So anyways, that's that. If you have any questions, don't be shy to leave a comment and ask your questions there, or if you liked it, if you didn't, if you think I'm an idiot, hey, knock yourself out. It's a free world, and I believe in free speech. So, hope you enjoyed. Thanks for dropping by.